So, good morning, everybody. Winter's now set in, but I've got a really warm feeling, getting emotional here, talking to one of my besties in the industry. So, I am thrilled to be able to share my time and my little history with, as I say, one of my besties in the industry. So, hi to Ian Blackman.
Good morning, Karen. Yeah, good to see you.
So, Ian, I was just reminiscing. I was looking at some information earlier on today. How long have we known each other, Ian? 20, 30 years now?
Probably near 30 years, yeah.
Gosh. Yeah. Were you at GC Basildon at the time, weren't you?
Probably Rochester before that.
Yeah.
Probably Rochester before I went to Basel, before I came back temporarily and then went on to greater things.
And I remember you were, we were first doing our solutions and our FT solutions, and you were a big supporter of what we were trying to do in Obsolescence. And I think, you actually got what I was trying to say about the industry long before it became a popular word in Obsolescence. And I think I remember the very first list of parts you sent me was Altera. Do you remember?
Yes, yeah. We used a lot of Altera parts when I was at Rochester. Yeah. And then they pulled out military and we were stuck. Cyprus had some alternatives, but it wasn't everything that we needed.
Yeah. So Obsolescence has come a long way, hasn't it? I mean, you set up COG. I think we were member 27. I keep saying that, and we were trying to manage Obsolescence in our own firms, but we were trying to educate people as well, because they just didn't know, did they? Engineers 30 years ago just didn't know what to do, did they?
There was a gap between procurement and engineering, and really people didn't want to converse with each other. There were silos. Projects were thinking in isolation and reporting in isolation. Yeah, it was, and the people that looked after Obsolescence were either the better procurement engineers and procurement people, or the better component engineers. And both of those roles have changed quite a lot since then. So it's good that Obsolescence is integrating other things and that other people recognize it. But now it's kind of sometimes lost under supply chain management, logistics, or asset management, but it's still there and people understand it better. So the guidance that we tried to put together back then, that became the British standard, then the defence standard, then the British standard, then the IEC standard. Yeah. A lot of that came from the discussions very early on with people that were right in the middle of it, and then other people have sort of joined us. As we do joke, there's no way out of Obsolescence. You remember that we said?
Yes.
That if as soon as you put Obsolescence in your job description,
yeah.
The only way out is death, because you'll get dragged into it every time there's an issue.
Yeah. And we get dragged into so many customers as well. I mean, I know since you moved on from Rochester, you got involved in your own company and helping people and running COG. But people still keep asking the same questions after time and time again, don't they?
Yeah. And I think they're coming from a different background now. They're not people who understand the components anymore. They're talking about risk, or they're managing the supply chain. They're not into the detail of what the part is and what the future is, and asking the right technical questions.
Yeah.
They're trying to make a problem go away and move on to something more exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
Or they think is more exciting.
Mm. Yeah, a lot of people don't think Obsolescence is exciting. I mean, I love it. I love just solving a problem. And sometimes you don't know what the customer's going to come up with next. And they send you a part, and you think, where the heck did you get that from? Where did that possibly come from? I know BA were really good at that, and I know at Rochester you had you set up a team, didn't you, with Dave Major at the time, and his guys, and they would do their bomb management and look at their lists and things, and then the solutions would flow off into the ether. But when did you get your first title as Obsolescence manager?
I was responsible for Obsolescence at Basildon in 97, I think, component engineering. 97. And then I was Obsolescence strategy manager, MBA systems, but that was avionics, not airframes. Yeah. But that meant, because of having Obsolescence in my title, one of the few earliest people in BAE, I would go to the system places. So I'd go to where they were building submarines, or they were building civil aircraft, or Eurofighter at Walton, and helped kind of bring components into their field of view and convince them that Obsolescence was always there, we didn't manage it or name it, but not everybody knew that whatever they designed was never going to last forever, like people.
Yeah.
Uh,
But people used to think
yeah,
obsolescence
that
was a
was fun.
dirty word, didn't they? They didn't want to admit
Yeah.
it. Do you remember when we set up
Yeah.
the external liaison group within COG,
Yes.
and we
Yeah.
tried to say to members of COG, okay, well, if you give us your top 5, we'll put it on a spreadsheet, and there'll probably be some commonality, and we can go and hassle, national and people like that, as it was at the time. And we didn't get a lot of feedback, did we? It was almost as if people said, I don't want to put my head above the parapet and admit I've got a problem. It was so frustrating. And we knew they had problems, didn't we?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was perhaps there wasn't the commonality that people thought there was towards then. I mean, I compare Tornado and Eurofighter, and Eurofighter was much more single sourced and highly integrated parts. So it was easier to manage because there's less parts to remember, but every one was more complicated. To replace a part in Tornado or Hawk, Jaguar was simple because it was a very simple functionality, a couple of gates, a small memory, not very difficult.
Mm.
People found it difficult to share information, even though it would be, even if you had a list of parts, you couldn't build someone else's system without an awful lot of other information.
Yeah.
I don't know why people didn't want to share, but we did get best practice out of that document. So the COG guidance booklets, I think there was 12, but someone else told me 14. I can remember some of the titles, but people forget that over 10,000 of those were distributed at events to members,
Yeah.
and to other organisations. So that was a success, and a lot of that practice and a lot of different aspects of obsolescence management became useful to an awful lot of people. So that group was successful, and also was the same people who were tending to support the development of the international standard in the first place. So a lot of those guys are no longer in industry, and sometimes no longer actually with us, unfortunately, but an awful lot of experience in the room there from different backgrounds as well.
Yeah, because there's quite a few, wasn't it? I mean, I think I contributed to about 6 or 7, and I think it was back 2005 we started writing those. I was trying to think, 2005. That's like 19 years ago, isn't it? It's quite a long time. So
It was an idea from one of the members. It was Alan Dedden who suggested that we take a particular aspect of obsolescence management and put best practice in from multiple sources and make it readable. So it was kind of those cartoons in there as well to get people to remember things.
Yeah.
But we took all the cartoons out of one of the books because it was the obsolescence minefield for executives, and executives don't have a sense of humour, so I just take all the cartoons out.
Yeah, they don't, do they? Because we revised it, didn't we? Did one lot, and then we revised it, and yeah, they
A couple were reissued, but 10,000 copies, and internationally. So, well, at least one, maybe 2 were translated into German. I've got a copy of one in German.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, how cool is that?
You want to borrow it?
Well, actually, I do speak German, so that might be interesting.
Yeah, a bit,
to see
yeah.
if you've actually translated it correctly.
Yeah, it wasn't me who translated it.
Oh,
but
that's all right then.
yeah.
And I remember we did that
But
practice
yeah, I'm
document.
proud of those booklets now.
Yeah. And when we did that practice document, was it PD 667 or something? And we had to go to BSI House. I mean, that was a real thrill for me. Well, apart from being the only woman in the room, it was a real thrill to go there. I remember having a 2-hour conversation about apostrophe. You remember Mike Trenchard? Oh my gosh, he dragged us into that because his wife was a teacher.
Yeah, I remember the first meeting when we were trying to take the BS document, the defence standard document, into a BS document. We spent an hour on the first sentence.
Yeah.
And my friend in Scotland, who I don't think many people know on this call, said, right, I'm going to fly home if this carries on. And I was right behind him saying, look, the definition you're using in other standards is not correct for us. So you cannot just read it across. And it starts off in the wrong tone altogether.
Yeah.
It has to be the way we want it.
Yeah.
And that's my impression of standards. I can do it, but I don't enjoy it. I'd much rather someone draft the document and then look at it than actually be part of drafting it anymore.
Yeah.
I've not got the patience anymore.
Well, Graham Goring got involved in a lot, didn't he? When he took over from doing the standard stuff.
Appreciate his patience. I haven't got that.
No. I'm all right with the words, and I know that I know obsolescence management. I've been in it, as you say, 30 years. But yeah, trying to teach people that don't want to learn is really frustrating. So yeah. So what are you doing nowadays, Ian? How are you keeping your time busy?
I still work with Roger Rogoski with the Anti-Counterfeiting Forum. We're trying to organise the event for next year. but mainly it's volunteer work. So I'm a volunteer at RAF Mountain History Museum. So we've got an open cockpit weekend. So I'll be there this weekend. So I'm helping them market their organisation,
All right.
deliver leaflets, social media. And I'm also a director of the right to manage of the estate that I live in. So there's 3 blocks. We took over from the freeholder the responsibility for looking after the block.
All right.
And although there's a lot of experience on site, not many people seem to have the confidence to write to the council or to tell a contractor that they won't get paid because of doing what we ask them to do.
Well, that's where you
And
come in.
that's what. Pardon?
I said that's where you come in. You've got the confidence.
Yeah. Or just to ask, if you don't ask, you don't know whether things are possible. And often things are. Sometimes we can't ask them to change the rules in the car parking companies. We can with the customer. And we pay them and we can just ask politely and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And 2 of the 3 things we've asked for, we've got already.
Brilliant. Are you going to the
It's the training.
it's training.
Sorry.
Are you going to the IAM meeting on the 30th?
Yes, I am. Yeah, because I'm now retired and don't have the income that I had. I'm tending to be a bit more selective about which ones I go to.
Okay.
The travel and I've been trying to add social time alongside it. So travel with my partner as well. But yeah, I'm using the expression. I'm not divorced from ION, but I'm separated,
All
and
right.
I don't want to seem to be in the way of the people that are now looking after it. I'm happy to help if they want, but I'm also happy for them to lead it and just watch it from afar. I was the 2nd or 3rd member. I went to the 2nd meeting. I've only missed a couple in all those years.
Yeah. I think that's
And
the
I'm
same
staying in
as
contact with the people I want to, and I can be then a little bit more selective about
who you can speak for. Well, I'm
the
really
very
glad.
few number of people that I don't want to spend time with.
Well, I'm really glad that I'm one of the people that you do want to keep spending time with. I'm being told to wrap
Yeah,
up. We could chat all day long. We'll do that offline.
the Jersey, right? Okay, then. See ya.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.